Okay, so I'd shot this the other day, but the film did not come out, or film, whatever, the video didn't come out. So I wanted to explain as to how to get the trim off from around the gauges, and to fix a couple little things in the back. Now, it's not exactly a difficult process, but the first thing you're going to want to do if you need to get back here on your G-body, in this case 79 Regal, you're going to want to pop this trim piece off right here. Okay? The way that happens is, here, windshield wiper fluid, or the wipers themselves, knob pops off, just pull it off. Here, the rear defog, knob pops off, just pull it off. The lights, this pops off with great difficulty. There's a little bracket in there, a little keeper, and then the trim around the knob screws off counterclockwise. It's threaded into that round part of the switch. Once those are out, you can just kind of start over here by where the steering column is. You can pop it out real easy. There's no screws on this part. It's all clips, as you can see. Right here, and I'll give you a nice overview. You can see your clips. Obviously, I'm holding it backwards. So you want to keep that in mind when you're pulling it off. If any clips get stuck in the dash, obviously, the easiest thing to do is take them off and put them back on the piece of trim for reinstallation later. And that's all that takes. That's very easy to do. So what me and my son did, this guy, is we replaced the light bulbs in back of here.
Yep.
Okay.
And it starts.
See, all the lights go on now. There's a light for the brights right down there on the bottom, and then there's another light right down here.
You need to install it.
Right down here for a rear defogger that we don't have, so there's no socket in there. We got that done. Yeah, and as my son just said, the starter went on this, so now I need to put a starter in it. Fun, fun, fun. So, get that. It'll be a nice 40-degree day project. Starting from the left, the gas gauge was not working, or was reading 3/4 of a tank full. I popped that off. All this does, there's some screws here, 1, 2, 3. I popped it off. When you pop it off, you got to be careful you don't bend or break your gear selector here, your gear selector pointer. I popped it off. There's 3. They look like fuse clips that the back of the gauge plugs into. I tightened them up. I cleaned them with some contact cleaner, and I brushed them off as best you could. It's hard to get back there. And I put the gauge back on. And I turned the car on, and the gauge, for the first time, moved by itself. Now, ironically, it moved to 3/4 of a tank a little bit. I adjusted the gauge. Let's see if it'll do it now. Let's move it to half. Let's turn it on. I think I actually do have 3/4 of a tank of gas. Let's see what it does. If you watch it, you can see it slowly moving. And it was stuck on 3/4 of a tank when I got it. When I got it, I had no gas in it. I put gas in it, and it still said 3/4 of a tank when I filled the tank. As you can see, I put it to half before, and it's slowly making its way up to around 3/4. So I'm guessing it has 3/4 of a tank of fuel in it for real this time, or somewhere around there. All right. So we did that. And hopefully that's working now. I also checked the ground on the. If you go under the back bumper, you'll see a ground for the fuel sending unit. Black wire with a screw terminal right up there in the sheet in the frame. That was fine. So when I fixed the starter now, and I can get this thing moving and registered, and I put a full tank of gas in it, we'll see if it registers as a full tank. If not, we'll have to further troubleshoot. This was another little interesting item. This right here, this is your gear indicator, column shift gear indicator. Now, if you can kind of see in there, I should have done this when I had it off. I don't want to take it off again. But there's I don't know if the camera's picking it up. There's a spring. I explained this a little bit last time, I think, or maybe not. Is when you put it in, let's get the keys again. When you put it in gear, right, it's stretching the spring. The spring pulls the thing toward park, and as you put it, as you're shifting it with your column shifter, it goes down to L1, L2, and then back. Now what it's doing is it's using the spring to pull it back, and then finally back in the park. All right. That is a little piece of plastic fell out of the dash. Not quite sure what that was. But that works. So what was with mine here, as the cable had become hung up, if you look right there, again, I don't know if this is going to pick it up. You can see a cable right there. See me moving my finger? That little cable is what connects to the ring on the column down here. And when that ring moves, obviously it moves the indicator. And then when it moves back, it it shifts back to the to park. My wife is texting me as I'm doing videos, so I'm trying to read the text as I talk. I'm sorry. So what that does, if you ever have one like this that's stuck all the way, right, like mine was to the right, you got to unstick it. I played with it, unstuck it, pretty much took my finger and pushed this, got back into position, and then where it goes, you're never going to be able to see this, but back at the back end of this ring right here, this piece that covers the column, back down here, right, underneath the dashboard, it clips in. Probably can't, no, you can't see it. I already put everything back. Right back there, if I had a flashlight, I'd use it. You could, it clips onto this, like a little friction clip that clips onto that ring. And then it's really, really tight, so when you shift it, right, the indicator goes where it's supposed to.
I can get a flashlight.
No, I don't need a flashlight, honey. Thank you. My son is offering to get a flashlight, but we're all getting cold out here, so we're going to wrap this up. And then bulbs working back of here. This was nothing. This was just a plain trim piece.
No.
You know, there are connectors back there for whatever, for a tack or a clock or something. So maybe we'll do something with this. I want to clean that black hook off. There's something stuck to there. Yeah, some kind of tape. And that's about it for now. I mean, now we got to do the starter. Our main things here were to replace the bulbs in the idiot light cluster here, and try to see if I can figure out what's wrong with the fuel gauge and to get the shift indicator work. So, a couple steps forward with that, and you know, a pretty big step back with the starter. But hopefully, once we get that figured out, we'll we'll do more. There you go. Thank you for watching.